All right, it's time for a Monday evening Q&A before I get on this plane to San Francisco early tomorrow morning. Maybe document the travels, a lot of good food coming up over the next couple of days. Looking forward to being back in California, taking care of a wedding suit while I'm out there. That's going to be nice. And of course, probably going to cap tomorrow off with Taqueria Cancun. NFL franchise tag window opens tomorrow. Going to have some content about that. Will the 49ers resort to using a franchise tag? Unlikely, but they have done so once, and it is possible. So stay tuned for that in the morning. And drop all your questions into the chat section right now. This is going to be a rapid fire 49ers Q&A. Not going to spend all too long here. I don't think that we're going to have a massive crowd because this is still the dead part of the offseason. Stuff is going to really pick up by Wednesday because that is when Brock Purdy is going to be set to receive his surgery, undergo surgery in Arlington, Texas. It's going to be a big deal on the UCL because we're actually going to be tracking that with Purdy entering the surgery, not knowing exactly what technique is going to be used. They hope that they're going to be able to use the one that allows them to return for this season, the internal brace technique, but complications can arise. More of a hybrid reconstruction can be needed, and it just needs to be seen what will be needed after Purdy gets under the knife on Wednesday. That's for this week. So is the fact that the 49ers are still to finalize their coaching staff. I expect that to come out over the next few days. Mike says, post your questions. Let's get those questions up there. This is going to be a rapid fire Q&A over only a few minutes. So here we go. Are the 49ers done losing coaches? I would think probably yes. They might lose a lower level coach, but probably done losing coaches. Yes, I think that the poaching has been done by DeMeco Ryans over in Houston. My prediction of who starts in 2023. I'm going to wait to see how Brock Purdy's surgery goes. Why don't we wait to see how Brock Purdy's surgery goes on Wednesday? Because I don't know who's going to be hurt. As of right now, Trey Lance, top guy. He's going to be the only healthy guy at OTAs. Purdy definitely won't be available by then. But let's let this play out organically and get a little bit more information before we have a ton predictions just flowing without the appropriate information. And here's a follow-up question. It seems like, what's your take on both QBs being healthy for camp? Who's starting? Well, I'm not sure if both QBs are going to be healthy for camp. So I'm not going to answer a hypothetical that I, don't think is possible to set up yet. So let's just wait and see. The point of football and depth is that you're going to have unequal health situations. One guy might be healthy, one guy might be less healthy. That's why you layer these positions in the first place. So there's no point to waste our time on hypotheticals of both guys are going to be healthy if one guy is just now entering surgery on Wednesday and the other guy is still not fully cleared to go yet. Lance is going to be throwing this next weekend. If the 49ers go for Jake Cainer in the draft, what round do you think they'll take him? Well, I've seen him projected anywhere between the 3rd and the 7th. I think one interesting part of all this is that Brock Purdy's success in his first year might have increased the draft value of Jake Cainer, right? Purdy goes last pick, 7th round, almost an undrafted free agent. Player like Jake Cainer, who is not wowing anybody with, a 4.2 or a 4.3 and an arm that can launch the ball 75 yards downfield, might have been a QB that would have gone in the 6th or 7th round previously, but the toughness, the moxie, ability to get the ball out on time, post Brock Purdy success, that could have bumped up to a 4th or 5th round trade. So maybe the 5th round, that'd be fitting, right? Jake Cainer, round 5 for the 49ers. They've had so much success there. Yes, I think defensive signings are possible for the 49ers, big ones, as you ask. I think if they do bust out the checkbook like they did last year for a specific position, and that was Charvarius Ward, that position can be defensive tackle for the 49ers this year. Just imagine pairing a big-time defensive tackle with Nick Bosa. I don't think that the bookend of Bosa this past year in Charles Omenihu was all that bad. He was top 20 in pass rush win rate, just didn't finish quiet enough. But it's the interior pass rush that really was lacking for the 49ers this year that they're going to want to make sure steps up, gets a little bit better here this next season. Keep posting your questions. Top 3 available pass rushers in free agency. Well, it depends if are you asking inside, outside? Javon Hargrave might be available. He got after the quarterback on the inside this past year. Obviously, there's a lot of talk of Deron Payne, who had 12 and a half sacks this past season. On the edge, Marcus Davenport, not coming off a good year. I mean, we can go through a lot. Justin Houston might be available this season. Fletcher Cox is a pending free agent on the inside, but I don't know if he's going to be available once free agency actually hits. Thank you for this. If Mosley signs back, will he start over Lenore? Well, it depends on how quickly he recovers from the ACL. Because Diamaro Lenore finished the season really strong. 2 interceptions in the playoffs, got better with every week. ACLs can be tricky. What's the recovery timeline going to be? I think you see where Mosley's at in camp, and then you judge from there. But that's assuming that the 49ers re-sign him. Yep, the 49ers got a comp pick when they lost C.J. Beathard. And it was a 2022, number 262. Ended up becoming Brock Purdy. The Shanahan quarterbacks, the circle of life goes on and on and on. Biggest concern for the 49ers next season, always pass protection. They could figure out the pass protection. I think it's an even bigger concern than the QB position. I think they're going to figure out the QB position adequately enough to stay afloat until everybody's back healthy. And then at that point, QB is always a concern. You want a guy that's not going to fold, that's going to take you as far as your talent is capable of going as a football team. What's most critical Shanahan decision? Well, yeah, but everything, you're saying, I feel the easy answer is missing Hall of Fame QBs in the draft. Every team is missing players in the draft. The draft is a crapshoot for a reason. Mahomes didn't go number 1 overall. So a lot of teams missed on Patrick Mahomes. He went later on, right? I think that the 49ers, after trading DeForest Buckner, I had no problem with that move and the process behind it. I think that year, though, especially coming off of the Super Bowl in which the offensive line was a problem, the 49ers should have poured resources into that O-line that offseason. They obviously did bring in Trent Williams through trade. They paid him a little bit later after the next season, before the 2021 year. And then they brought in Alex Mack, but that was a year too late on the center front in 2021. The 2020 tailspin injury-wise started because the 49ers weren't good enough in pass protection. I don't think that Lynch and Shanahan have attacked the pass protection issue on the O-line quickly and aggressively enough. I think that they have started to get aggressive. They've made significant strides. They have been working on investment there, but they still need some more. Similar to Tampa Bay, past 2 years, Tampa Bay has completely turned around. Not Tampa Bay, Kansas City. Since playing Tampa Bay, Kansas City has completely turned around that offensive front. Were the running backs doing better before Anthony Lynn, not including McCaffrey? I don't think so. I think the running backs just came out with a decent season for the 49ers. Most importantly, they stayed healthy enough as a room to not be running on bare bones. Now, Elijah Mitchell obviously got hurt twice. That's something the 49ers want to see turned around. I have a piece with Matt Barrows coming out tomorrow, state of the running back position. So be sure to check that out. But I think that Anthony Lynn, Bobby Turner both did a good job coaching that room up. Realistic expectations for Kalia Davis. I wouldn't put massive expectations on him. I mean, he was a lower round draft pick. DJ Jones was too, but it took him a few years to fully integrate into dominance for the 49ers. So Davis, explosive player. We've seen the Mike to defensive tackle transition. That's Mike linebacker to DT. Chris Kaserik has never worked with that before. That has lent itself to some potential explosiveness from Kalia Davis. We will see if he can leverage it. Very little chance of signing Derek Carr, because Derek Carr would have to take a lot less money than the 49ers are willing to pay. The veteran that they bring in is going to have to fit into a certain cost structure with the 49ers. I don't have a short list because I think the list is a little bit longer this offseason. I think that this offseason of QB potential signings, by the way, those of you just listening in podcast form, that's the question from JC Maxwell. I think that there's going to be a massive quarterback carousel this offseason. There's going to be a lot of guys falling by the wayside. You look at some of the obvious names like Teddy Bridgewater and you ask, what might the number be for him? Taylor Heineke, what might the number be for him? You can go through a lot of these, retreaded quarterback names. Let's just put it that way. I think ultimately the 49ers are going to be able to bring in one of those veterans. So let's wait and see how the free agency market develops. Yeah, they could have drafted Wirfs instead of Kinlaw. I think just in general, they should have had a stronger focus on the O-line because the O-line is what cost them that Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. The O-line, and then they had the bust in the secondary. But look, the O-line responsible for Jimmy Garoppolo taking a helmet-to-helmet hit. He was something like 19 of 21 before that hit and something like 2 of 13 after it, right? The O-line responsible for that final drive where Chris Jones, Frank Clark just caved it in, didn't work out. If you have and the O-line in a larger picture, you look at a team like Kansas City, lost to Tampa Bay 2 seasons ago because their O-line couldn't block for Mahomes. This year, they were excellent against the Eagles and they win the Super Bowl. Case Keenum. Keenum with Kubiak in Denver. Not a bad one. I should do a video listing all those quarterbacks. I will. I'll come a little bit more prepared with a graphic at some point. Elijah Mitchell was disappointing with those injuries, indeed. Go for Broke asks or says and asks, I wonder how far along Nick Zakelj is. The 49ers lose Jake Brendel. They'll probably look at free agency first. Your thoughts? I think that if they're going to be looking at free agency, they're not going to lose Jake Brendel. They'll outbid Houston or Bobby Slowick or whoever they need to keep Jake Brendel instead of continually going to the free agency well. Now, if they don't re-sign Jake Brendel, I think that it probably means that they might give a guy like Nick Zakelj, or they might sign Daniel Brunskill to re-sign him. He needs to be re-signed to play center and continue the tutelage of Nick Zakelj. All right, couple more. We're in the rapid fire 49ers Q&A. Then I'm going to get going. Draft expectations. Scouting department's going to have to shine. 49ers don't pick until late in the 3rd round with those comp picks. Maybe some trades to move up marginally, but they're not going to have a premier pick in this draft, barring a major trade of a veteran. Mike points out that the draft is deep at center. We'll see what they think about Nick Zakelj, who has been said to take people over mentally. Guards, develop or upgrade? Develop. I think you got to develop Burford, develop Aaron Banks. And I think that, you could save your draft capital for those tackle positions or for some more depth on the interior. Bosa will actually save money to sign. Bosa is on the 5th-year option price tag right now, about $18 million. They can give him a lot of money, but stretch it into the future years once they give him a long-term contract. So they'll actually save money in all likelihood, 2023-wise, on the cap by re-signing Nick Bosa. Safety position, it's going to really, really depend on Tashaun Gibson. Does he retire or does he return? 49ers, not 9 or 11. They have 10 draft picks this year. All right, everybody, thank you for joining. About 13, 14 minutes. This was a rapid-fire Q&A. I got an early morning flight, so I got to head out of here. Everybody take care. Stay tuned tomorrow. Content will be rolling in. A lot of good San Francisco stuff tomorrow. Looking forward to being back. Thank you, everybody. Take care.